Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is the horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so, Gemini, we have the Four of Discs. And this has everything to do with power. This is also my favorite card. And it's not because of the power so much, although maybe that is. Maybe it is part of that. But it is that, and as you can see, let's take a look really quick. As you can see, it's like a little fortress, right? It has a moat around it. It has the four elemental corners here. Everything in balance. To me, this is all about being in your sacred space. At home. It could be a home like in your interior. It doesn't have to be like your physical home. But hopefully it is, right? Hopefully you have cultivated a place that feels like, yeah, this is where I go. That is secure. That is safe for me. That is my temple. I can dwell here and grow here. Everything comes into balance when I am in this place, right? And now it could be, again, physical. It could be that this is actually kind of a, emotional, psychic space as well. Okay, so let's take a look. We're going to see what these tea leaves have to say. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. So it looks like we have somebody who, it looks like a child. We have a kind of the head here. Here's the eye. Nose, maybe a mouth, crying. It does look like crying. Maybe wearing kind of it reminds me of like Mickey Mouse ears. Like, I don't know if they still have this. We're not really a super, Disney family or anything, but they used to have the Mickey Mouse Club way back in the day. Actually, what's funny is I've shown my daughter, if you are older like myself, they used to have the morning Mickey Mouse workouts, and it would be on like Disney Channel, and they had like the aerobics or whatever. Those are so fun. They're super fun. But anyways, yes, they had the Mickey Mouse Club, and they had the little hat with the ears, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. It has kind of even like a pretty vintage feeling. So I'm thinking that this is maybe kind of calling back to childhood, or maybe when you were raising your kids. Okay, now we also have a face right here. You can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth. It looks like we have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 other people kind of grouped around this person. So I kind of almost get the impression that this is the baby and this is kind of the caretaker, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever. Now, there's also the family kind of in the background here. And I feel like there's a person pointing here. There's another person here with a hammer. And I can't really see what the other two have. But it does seem to me that this is like you come from a family of people who maybe, I don't know, do like trade work or, some kind of like maybe carpentry, construction, something that's in the physical world, right? They're doing something with their hands, they're building things, they're maybe demoing things, and in a really kind of blue collar feel here, okay? Kind of real middle class. And I feel like there's just such you're very sentimental, but very nostalgic as well, I think. And I feel like there's this kind of like moment here in your life where you are kind of really yearning for those simpler times, thinking back into your youth, your brothers, your sisters, your mom, your dad, grandma, grandpa, you know, all these people around you who some have probably transcended by now, right? And missing those old gatherings and the laughing and the arguing and the, you know, people smoking inside. That's what I think of with my traveling. I can't help but think of that being, it's almost kind of like its own personality in the room, right? But yeah, thinking back on, you know, times that are past, just a different world. It was a different world. And so, yeah, it makes sense to me. We're in this time period here in the year where it's like family stuff. And especially if your family has preceded you, you know, and we find ourselves with less and less people every year, this isn't always the most happy time. But I do feel like you're making the best of things, and I feel like there are moments where you catch yourself, you're maybe kind of wandering in your mind and your memory, right? Taking a walk through those old days. Now we have a 3 and an E, okay? 3 and an E. And when you turn it over, it's the same, 3 and an E. So that's kind of interesting. Now we have a motorcycle or a bike. I think it's a bike, actually. This looks more like a bike. So we have a person riding on a bicycle. We have a face here. You can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Maybe some facial hair like a goatee. And it says LUV. So I feel like this is maybe a love connection, a love relationship. Now we have this other face here too. Eyes, nose, mouth. I can't help but feel like we have more faces up here and right here. I can't help but feel like there's almost like over involvement of people in your personal life. We have the number 44 as well. And we have a person sitting very close here. It looks like they're sitting on like a chair, kind of leaning forward looking. And we have a telephone over here. So I feel like it's almost kind of, at times, you can start to feel really like over-examined, analyzed people in your life, maybe, you know, getting involved where they have not been invited, maybe a sense of kind of, I want to make my own decisions. I'm tired of people coming in here and telling me, you know, something, you know, I think a lot of people go through is when you get older and your kids are grown up and they, you know, have their kids and they're starting to have grandkids and stuff. And here you are living at home by yourself, and maybe, you know, you need some help, and maybe you need, you know, maybe you need to be living with somebody else, but now your family's starting to decide for you. You know, mom, dad, you can't be at home by yourself. What if you fall? You know, these kinds of things, which are all very reasonable and rational fears, right? But to start to realize that other people's input is going to have a lot to do with how things kind of progress for you. And losing that sense of control over one's own life can really put us in a posture of feeling kind of closed away. And I think that's really where this Four of discs kind of comes in. Maybe the sense of not really fully wanting to share with other people because you're worried that they're going to, well, become worried and maybe start to overstep, get too involved, you know. And I think that this is maybe and now I use that as an example, having the family say, hey, I really would like you to come live with us, or maybe we should look at assisted living, or, you know, something like this. That's an example. But if you could imagine yourself in that position and that feeling where it's kind of almost like very confronting, like, what do you mean? Like, you're going to decide where I have to live, you know? That's a very deeply, you know, it could feel very troubling, right? You know, unless you want to go, unless you're ready, right? I want to get out of this house. So I'm tired of, you know, vacuuming the whole thing by myself constantly, you know. But yeah, yes, I think it is. I think it feels so much like there's a resistance, right? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want things to change. They might not be ideal, but this is how I live my life, right? And I'm not saying that you should or have to go along with anybody else's idea of what is good living or what is, you know, what's going to be helpful. But maybe I feel like when you are in this kind of fortress of, almost like fortress of solitude, right? When you are recharging yourself, maybe worth considering all of the, you know, perspectives. Maybe what they're saying is confronting and scary, and it kind of jostles you from your life a little bit. But it might be worth considering what the larger picture is. And if it's still that you don't want to go along with whatever their ideas are, well, that's up to you, right? And so, you know, I look at this and I feel like this is a time where nothing is really bad. But I feel like there needs to be kind of a movement towards some clarity for yourself. Maybe really having the conversation, like, what am I looking at here in the long term? What's going to be important for me going forward? You know, what is realistic? And, you know, what is kind of like well, we live in illusion, right? We all do. We all tell ourselves, you know, all kinds of stories about life, all kinds of stories about ourselves. And, you know, that's not very unique onto anyone, but we all do it. And sometimes we need to break away from whatever we paint ourselves into a corner, right? And we get attached to these ideas about who we are, what we're doing. And sometimes it is. The universe puts us in this new position where it's like, I have to be honest with myself. I have to be real with myself. I have to look at this whole thing that's going on and kind of maybe, think about realignment a little bit. You know, and it's important that we try to meet these moments in our life with openness and, what is the word really? It's not positive. It's not like a ho-hum, or not ho-hum, like a, you know, I'm super excited about this. Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this day, you know. It's not that. You don't have to be positive necessarily, but just open-minded, right? Willing to try to be a little flexible. Try to imagine, that maybe sometimes we have to shift a little bit. I'll tell you what, this last year we've had a lot of changes in my own household. And for somebody who has had so much change in my life, and most of the time it's change that I have wanted, right? And I have gone out of my way to make sure it happens. I still get those moments of terror and even grumpiness and feeling like, ugh, like this is being done to me, right? Even though I'm a full adult. I make my own decisions, anything that I'm doing is on me. Anything that's going on me, right? Because I've made the choices that have led up to whatever's happening. And even so, like we moved this year, right? We had to because we needed studio space and we wanted to have that at our home. And shout out to my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot. My husband Paul, he's amazing. Go check him out. That's what I'm saying. So he has his tarot reading as well. And so we needed a bigger space. We needed a place where we could have studios and, whatever. I won't bore you with the details. But during the process, even leading up to it, looking for a house, terrified, annoyed, I felt depleted, constantly depleted through the whole thing. And, and it was a lot, but it needed to happen, right? And I had to look at the big picture and say, okay, this is going to be a lot of work for me, and this is going to be, scary, and it's a big leap of faith on my part, and I'm just gonna have to figure this out. I'm gonna go with how I feel, intuitively, and even if my mind and stuff is in terror a little bit at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up thinking about all of the packing and did this bill get paid? What do I need to, all these things that we do. But, if I live in resistance of any kind of change, there's no room for evolution, self-evolution. And, and that's okay if that's what you decide. But, I think a lot of us, it's in our nature. We want to continue to transmute. You have to be in movement to do that. So, maybe something to think about. Now, we also have, it looks like a goose in migration, and actually more than one, 2 of them. We also have, it looks like an apple. So the apple to me indicates that there is a period here of stabilized health. Now, I don't like to always say like, oh, it's, means it's good health, everything's fine, everything's cool, there's a cure here. No, I'm not going to say that because I don't know. I don't know what your situation or circumstances are. But the apple to me says, if you do have chronic pain, if you do have like a chronic ailment, disease, whatever is going on, this is a period of time where it will be stable, okay? Less flare-ups, less bad days with it, and hopefully less symptoms in general, right? But if you are in what we would consider, fairly good health or in good health, this is also a time where it is sustained. And that might not feel like a big difference to anybody, but if you have ever been somebody who has gotten sick in a really serious way, you remember that these moments of just kind of unnotable health, right? There's nothing to really kind of write home about. That's awesome. And the older you get, the more you just absolutely, appreciate those times in life, So I feel like this is a time where there will be stable health. Now, the geese, the migration, so there is movement, and I see you really getting into that, Okay? I feel you really leaning into this work that is happening. That I almost feel like it's kind of, I want to say it's like it presented itself, but that kind of takes away your engagement in it, right? I feel like this is something that you have invoked into your life. And now you are really, really sinking yourself into it. And I think that's, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, Gemini. You know, more of us need to have that resolve. Now, let's do our lucky numbers. Number 3. Lucky number 3. Number 10. Number 10. 3, 10, and 88. Lucky number 88. So I know I always say it's nighttime or whatever, my intro, my outro. I used to always record late at night, and I can't get over saying nighttime. Like, you know, I'm reading during the night and I say good night at the end. Yeah, it's like super early morning, and it's Thanksgiving morning, and I have so much food that I'm gonna go cook in a few minutes, and I can't express to you just how thankful I am that you're here. And like, you know, I hope that everybody's having, you know, good holidays. If you don't celebrate, I know there's a lot of contention around these kinds of holidays and their meaning. Of course, I understand that. I actually, let me qualify myself here. I actually am Choctaw, by the way. My tribe is something that is very important to me, and so I know there's a sensitivity to even bringing up Thanksgiving. And you know, for me, I am an old school chaot, which is a chaos magician. And to me, it's all about taking these things, these established things, and making them your own. And so we're a family here that we celebrate our togetherness and give thanks, you know, for the year that we have had, for the good things that have happened, the blessings. But even more than that, the failures, right? The missteps, the moments where it's like, okay, now I've hit, you know, one of the boundaries in my life, and I need to, you know, set a marker here. No, I don't want to come back to this anymore. These behaviors, these coping mechanisms, you know. And so I hope for you, I hope that in this time, and when this comes out, it will be past Thanksgiving anyways, and you might not even be in the US or in North America in general, but we are in holidays. There's holidays happening everywhere, in every culture and every faith and religious system. And so it is a time to maybe you know, consider, what are you thankful for? What are you grateful for this year? You know, and let me also just challenge you to going out there in your life and telling, you know, 1, 2, 3 people who maybe like don't expect it at all, that you appreciate them for, you know, whatever. If it's like, you know, the what are they called? I don't want to say it the wrong way, but the receptionist, I don't know, do we say that anymore? I forget what they're called. An administrative assistant, maybe. I don't know. I have never worked in an office or in corporate America at all, so I'm confused. I watch The Office, and that's where I get all of my information. But yeah, like the person at the dentist that, you know, schedules your kids' appointments, calling and telling them, I just want you to know that appreciate you. You've made my life easier, and I hope that you have all the blessings, you know? And I know it feels like that would be so weird, right? To do that. But can you imagine receiving that phone call? You know, just somebody noticing that you're alive and you're doing something and you're trying to help in whatever little way that you can, right? So, again, I challenge you to do this during the holidays here. Just let somebody know that you appreciate them, you know? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for sure. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to flip through. These are the Mary Magdalene Oracle cards, and we're just going to see how this kind of punctuates the reading. The fourth power. I am beloved. I am beloved. Yes, you are. Absolutely. All right, Gemini, I want to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. I would, oh wait, what was that? I was going to say, I would love to hear from you. If you haven't done, yeah, think about doing that. I don't want you to miss the other readings coming out. That little bell button, it'll notify you if you have your notifies on. And what else? Oh, leaving a comment. If you want to leave a comment, do it. I read them all. I love hearing from everybody that emails me, messages me on Discord, in the comments, and so on. So I love you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk again real soon. Good night, good night, good night.